For adjuvant treatment of colorectal cancer, the aims of our talk are adjuvant chemotherapy. When is it indicated? So it is indicated for stage 3 disease, that is a node positive disease. The regimens that we use are FOLFOX, that is 5-fluorouracil oxaliplatin based chemotherapy, or capecitabine and oxaliplatin based therapy. This can be given for 3 months or 6 months, and there are definite criteria where we have to use this chemotherapy either for 3 or 6 months, that we'll see in further slides. For some patients, a single agent chemotherapy is also an option, that is capecitabine or 5-fluorouracil with leucovorin. FOLFOX or CAPOX for patients less than 70 years is a definite treatment of choice. However, for patients more than 70 years, oxaliplatin addition has not shown much of a benefit. So we'll see what data and what trials have supported this. For adjuvant therapy, we usually do not use targeted agents. So I think this is a point to be taken home. Any of the targeted agents, that is the anti-EGFR or VEGF inhibitors like bevacizumab or cetuximab, panitumumab, are not used in the adjuvant setting, but they are used for conversion therapy or NAC. So if you have a liver metastatic disease, like in Dr. Wagre's case discussions, we saw that there were some metastasis in the liver which needed to be converted before we could operate. So in those specific situations, we use targeted agent because by definition, the disease is metastatic. The decision for an adjuvant treatment should balance the risk of cancer mortality and that of the comorbidities of the patients. So there are definite treatment selection depending upon if the patient has a good cardiac function, if his ejection fraction is good, because mind you, 5-fluorouracil is a quite cardiac toxic drug. Then specific problems for stage 2 patients, what do we do? What is microsatellite instability? And how does it influence our treatment and the future, and what more are we expecting in the next 5 years? So you can see here, this is the NCCN flowchart. So if we have the colon cancer, that is our suspected diagnosis, the workup is quite standard. Mind you, PET CT scan is not indicated for early colon cancers. If you have a resectable lesion, which is a non-obstructive lesion, an upfront surgical resection is something that is mandatory. A resectable obstructing lesion, then again one-stage colectomy with en bloc removal of the lymph nodes, or resection with diversion and systemic therapy later on, or implication or putting in a stent. These can be done for resectable obstructive lesions. For T4B, this is a very select subset where we can give FOLFOX or CAPOX for 2 cycles. That is the neoadjuvant chemotherapy, where you have a locally advanced T4B disease. Locally unresectable or medically inoperable disease, if we can see, then we can use infusional 5-FU, that is the systemic therapy, and then proceed later on for surgery. This is also in other terms known as conversion therapy. For rectal cancers, we can use radiation for our benefit also. So this is the staging of colorectal cancer. I think I'll skip through these slides. Okay, so this is a very important how and what after the surgery. So if you have a T1N0M0 or a T2N0M0 or even a T3T4N0M0 lesion with a MSI high or a dMMR by IHC, then observation is treatment of choice. So what do I mean by MSI high or dMMR? So MSI is indicated by an next generation sequencing. So where do you do the MSI testing? You do it on the tumor blocks. Okay, this more or less correlates with MMR, that is MSI is microsatellite instability. It is divided as microsatellite instability high, low, and MMR is where you have either loss of the protein expression, that is deficient MMR, or it is an MMR stable disease. So if you have a deficient MMR, these diseases behave quite well as compared to those who have MSS, that is microsatellite stability. So for these diseases who are well-behaved disease, we can only do an observation with close surveillance, every monthly CEA monitoring, and every 3 monthly we can do a USG to note if there is any recurrence. However, if you have a T3N0M0 disease who is MSS or who has proficient MMR and no high risk features, we can use single agent capecitabine or a 5-FU leucovorin based therapy as our adjuvant for 6 months. So basically, this is a subset that is T3N0M0 with a stable MMR, where you can use capecitabine or 5-FU LV based therapy for 6 months. If you have a T3N0M0, which is a high with a high risk. So what are the high risks? If you can note in this, if you can see in this block, the high risk features are when the patient is having poorly differentiated histology, when there is lymphovascular invasion, the patient presented with bowel obstruction, or less than 12 lymph nodes are examined. So the histopathology, that is the post-surgical histopathology report, is quite important to see whether you have at least 12 lymph nodes that have been removed. So less than 12 is suboptimal and considered high risk, and we opt for a higher level of adjuvant treatment as compared to those who are having more than 12 lymph nodes involved. Perineural invasion, localized perforation, or close indeterminate or positive margins. In high risk stage 2 patients, there are no data that correlate risk features and selection of chemotherapy. So basically, if you have these high risk features, then there is definite indication of giving chemotherapy, which is slightly more intensive using oxaliplatin based regimens. So if you have T3N0M0 with a high risk of systemic recurrence, or a T4N0M0 which is MSS or proficient in MMR, then you use FOLFOX or CAPOX for at least 6 months. Now there is the latest data, which is the IDEA meta-analysis, which has found that in such scenarios where we can use CAPOX for only 3 months, and it has been found to be non-inferior to 6 months of FOLFOX or 6 months of CAPOX. So it's a good thing that has come up, and we can de-escalate certain patients depending upon that. Now, same is applied for certain low-risk stage 3 patients, where you can see here it is specifically mentioned CAPOX for 3 months, FOLFOX for 3 to 6 months, which is and it is a category 1 indication to give it for 6 months. Other options include capecitabine for 6 months and 5-FU for 6 months. In the higher stages, that is any N2 disease, you definitely have to go for 6 months of therapy. Any of the regimens could be chosen, CAPOX or FOLFOX. So if you see here, we are still using only our backbone chemotherapy regimens, and none of the targeted agents have found their place in the adjuvant treatment of colorectal cancer. Also, if you can see the footnotes here, the oxaliplatin in more than 70 years of age has not been found to be beneficial, and it causes more toxicity. So if you have a low risk disease, that is stage 2 disease, then you can easily omit oxaliplatin and give only a single agent therapy. Now moving ahead as to what trials and what data and how did the history of adjuvant colon cancer begin. So it began in 1990, where we had the LV5-FU, which was superior to surgery alone. In 1998, we found that LV5-FU and the initial usage of levamisole, that is LEV is levamisole. So this was replaced by leucovorin, and the levamisole was found to be unnecessary. So high dose and low dose leucovorin was also compared, and along with that 3 weekly and weekly regimens were also compared. And after all this rigorous comparisons and trial data, we found out that a 3 weekly regimen of CAPOX or a 2 weekly regimen of FOLFOX has been the standard of care. So the first trial was the EXACT trial, which compared capecitabine versus 5-FU fluorofolinate, that is LV5-FU, according to the Mayo regimen. And for the overall survival, it was a non-inferiority study with a p-value of 0.001, and this established the role of capecitabine in the usage of adjuvant colorectal cancer stage 3. In 2004, we had a new combination therapy, which was the FOLFOX, and there have been many iterations of the FOLFOX regimen, ranging from FOLFOX 4 to FOLFOX 6 to modified FOLFOX 6 to FOLFOX 7, which differ slightly as to how are you using your bolus 5-FU doses. And so the first regimen was the FOLFOX 4 that came into being in the MOSAIC study, where the main endpoint was disease-free survival. And if you can move ahead and see that long-term results, the overall survival in the intention to treat population, there was a 2.5% improved results for overall survival, and the p-value was also quite significant. For long-term tolerance, the peripheral neuropathy and all other factors, though more in FOLFOX, the overall survival regimen was quite tolerable, and it was quite significant, and hence FOLFOX came into being as the standard of care for adjuvant chemotherapy. The overall survival for stage 2, stage 3, if you can see here, in stage 2, the purple line is for FOLFOX 4, and for stage 3, it is for LV5FU. So you have more benefit, that is a 4.2% benefit by using oxaliplatin via the FOLFOX 4 regimen. And this benefit was not seen in stage 2 disease. And hence in stage 2 disease, if there are no high risk features, we tend to avoid oxaliplatin as our agent of choice. Then came Zelox. Zelox was the capecitabine based regimen. It was compared in a phase 3 trial, that is the Zeloxa trial. And again, we saw that there was good advantage with the Zelox regimen as compared to only 5-FU LV for overall survival. So in the last 15 years, FOLFOX 4 and Zelox with the 3-year DFS of at least 70% has been found, and this has now been the standard of care for many years. But the things are not that simple. So we have a little bit more pick and choosing to do when you have borderline stage diseases. So 5-FU plus minus oxaliplatin in stage 3. So in the MOSAIC trial, for the DFS, the delta was 7.5, and for OS, the delta was 4.2. The NSABP, there was this FLOX study where you had a delta of 6.6, and the OS delta was about 2.7. Again, the exact study was there where you have a delta of 3.6, and for the OS, the delta was 3.7. So if you compare survival and the usage of oxaliplatin since the late 80s till 2000s, addition of oxaliplatin boosted the survival quite high, and this was something that was quite important in the evolution of colon cancer treatment. Overall survival stage 3, that is P53N3 node positive disease. Again, here if you can see, this is FOLFOX 4 compared with LV5FU. There is quite a major separation of curves, and the overall survival probability was quite more in patients who received oxaliplatin. Then there was this accent analysis where elderly people were compared for the use of oxaliplatin. So for patients who had a age of less than 70 years, the DFS was 0.77, the hazard ratio, and for the OS, it was 0.81. If you can see here, the confidence intervals do not cross the line of unity, and hence these are statistically significant figures. But for more than 70 years, a quite high N of 703, there was no statistically significance, but use of oxaliplatin was rather harmful in such patients, and hence for more than 70 years, irrespective of the stage and the risk criteria, we tend to avoid oxaliplatin. Then recurrence risk over time of the AXENT database, again recurrence hazard by nodal stage. As you go ahead and the nodal stage increases, then the benefit with FOLFOX increases. You can see the FOLFOX has a lower recurrence line. The dotted line is only 5-FU LV, so it has a higher dotted line. Again here, death hazard, the oxaliplatin has a lower dotted line, as usage of oxaliplatin has a lower hazard ratio as compared to the LV5-FU alone. So these were the trials that supported the usage of these the chemotherapies in adjuvant treatment. Mind you, irinotecan is not used as an adjuvant agent at all in colorectal cancer management, and this was according to the PETAC3 and the CALGB 89803 study and the ACCORDS 2 study. Irinotecan, however, is a favorable agent and can be used as first line for metastatic colorectal cancer.